Wow, today is the day I'm going to ask you guys to like and subscribe to this video right in the very beginning, because as you can see, I'm putting in a tremendous amount of effort to make this video today. No tank top, no sunglasses. Why? Because it's almost dark outside. It's been pouring rain all day. I'm near Aventura Mall, walking around the golf course here, and I'm going to give it to you right here in this video. So make sure you guys like this video for the effort of getting outside and not shooting it in the office. And here we go. Now I want to thank one of my friends and viewers, Ben. He sent me this story about how millions of borrowers right now are getting bailed out from the latest round of stimulus from the Biden administration. And it seemed like all the student loan debt cancellation was going to be on ice, but they were able to slip some of this stuff through with existing laws and programs that are already on the books, rather than trying to get just a blanket forgiveness like they tried to get. So the original student loan forgiveness plan from the Biden administration was supposed to be giving about $400 billion in student loan forgiveness, up to $20,000 per student. But there's about 43 million people with student loans, so it's not like that would be enough to actually cancel everyone's student loan debt, just a portion of some of it. They found a way to wipe out a good chunk of it, about 127 billion to be exact, for about 3.6 million borrowers. So almost 10% of people are going to get some sort of student loan forgiveness because of this. Before we go into how this is possible, just so you guys know, if you pay taxes, you are paying for this student loan debt relief, okay? That's as plain and simple as it gets. Taxpayer money, whether you went to college or not, is going towards this student loan forgiveness. Now I know some people can say, oh, big deal, Michael, you know, we give away billions to Ukraine and now Israel and all these places in the past, and you know, there's all this stimulus money that was stolen in the magnitude of trillions during the pandemic, so what's an extra 127 billion for the students? Okay, fair enough. But just so you know, that's what's happening. Now the first round of it is about $51 billion for 715,000 borrowers, and this is for public service loan forgiveness. If you worked for a government agency or nonprofit, after 10 years of monthly loan payments, you can have your student loan balance eliminated after that. So that's how some of this is getting canceled. So as you can see, it's not like nobody had to pay anything. The people that are getting this sort of forgiveness had to have a government job, and they still had to pay for 10 years before forgiveness was even on the table. And that's what I was trying to explain to a lot of people who say, oh, I'm just not going to pay my student loans and not get on the repayment program, because people who are doing that right now are screwing themselves over in the future and making it so it's basically going to be a guarantee that they won't have student loan forgiveness later on. Now the next round of borrowers who are getting some sort of forgiveness are people who are on an income-driven repayment adjustment. And that's in the magnitude of $42 billion for about 855,000 people. And this is due to a lot of student loan servicers improperly placing different student loans into forbearance, whether or not these students asked for it. So it's kind of like they're being cheated in a way. And the problem with that is the interest keeps accruing, but they don't know that they have a payment coming because they're not getting the bill in the mail, because it automatically was placed in the forbearance without their knowledge. But even with this, you have to be on an income-driven repayment plan and paying that loan for 20 years before you qualify for student loan forgiveness. So once again, it's not like you can just, you know, get a student loan and never have to pay anything. That's not what's happening here. And the people who are getting this forgiven today obviously have been paying for the past 20 years, and that's how they're able to get this round of loans forgiven. Now the next one is called the Borrower Defense to Repayment and Closed School Discharge. And this is going to affect 1.3 million borrowers, and about $22.5 billion of student loan debt will be forgiven with this one. And this is for people who were defrauded. Somehow their school was able to break consumer protection laws, and people who fall into this category are able to request student loan forgiveness. And the rain is picking up again, guys. I'm gonna head back. Maybe I'll have to finish this video inside Aventura Mall. Now the last one is people who have total and permanent disability. This affects 513,000 student loan borrowers, and about 11.7 billion is supposed to be forgiven from this. And this is for people who are permanently disabled for whatever reason, are going to be eligible for some sort of student loan forgiveness. And obviously, like I said, the $127 billion is still only about a fraction, about a quarter of what the Biden administration set out to do from the beginning. And, you know, of course, they're going to pat themselves on the back if this is a success, getting people these student loans forgiven. But it's still a lot of people that still have to pay for a very long time before even having a chance at getting things forgiven. So just know that the people who are getting this forgiveness are not getting off as easy as you think. So I'm going to head into the mall and I'll finish in there for you guys. All right, we're in the mall, somewhat dry. I really didn't want to do this, guys. I didn't want to come inside the mall. I did a video like this earlier in the year when it was pouring rain because I had no other choice. And it's the only way for me to bring you content was still like getting out there and not getting soaked. So anyways, let's finish up the video here. Now, speaking of canceling student loan debt and where all our taxpayer money is going, how about this one? There was a guy here in Florida that recently was arrested and is now going to be serving 5 years in federal prison for buying a private island with COVID money. How about that one? This guy's name is Patrick Parker Walsh. He's doing 5.5 years in prison for stealing $8 million in federal COVID relief funds. And he used this money to buy an island called Sweetheart Island. So I don't know, does 5.5 years sound justified to you guys? Does that sound like enough time to spend in prison for stealing $8.5 million? What about the island? What about the money? What happens to that? Does anybody get that back? If they do recover this, does that go back into the taxpayer's wallet? Tell me, guys, I don't know how that works, because that sounds kind of crazy that this is happening. And that's only a small part of it, because you actually have $280 billion right now in COVID relief money that was actually stolen, and another $123 billion that was wasted or misspent. So the entirety amount that the Biden administration is going to be giving back to student loan borrowers can be equated to just what was wasted or misspent during the pandemic. So when I look at it through that lens, I feel like, okay, maybe it's not so bad for students to get a break on this. However, guys, you know, it goes back to the same principle all the time. Like, if you borrowed money from somebody, you should have to pay it back, right? That's just the way things are supposed to work. And I realize that we're living in an upside down world where things really don't work the way they're supposed to work, and might give people the idea that, yeah, maybe I don't have to pay because other people didn't have to pay. Because these losses, this stolen COVID money, essentially equates to about 10% of the $4.3 trillion that the US government dispersed during the pandemic. And buying a private island was just the beginning, because you had other ones who, you know, bought big luxury homes, they bought luxury watches, they bought diamonds, jewelry, Lamborghinis, other expensive cars, you name it. Probably a bunch of that money was actually spent right here in Aventura Mall. And one thing to note, guys, if you go back to the last mall video I did, a lot of people didn't like that video, but one thing that you'll see differently in that video is how crowded this mall was compared to today. And it's actually a noticeable difference. Every time I come to this mall, it is usually pretty packed. Well, guess what? Not today. In fact, today, it's pretty empty. And the last couple times I've been here, it's been pretty empty. I think that just goes to show you how much things are finally starting to slow down. And let me tell you, Miami is not empty. This was bumper to bumper traffic today. So the city's not empty. There's plenty of people around, but you don't see a lot of people here shopping at the mall. So what does that tell you? Maybe all this stuff is too expensive? Maybe people can't afford it anymore. That's what I think, because most of these stores here are a complete ripoff. Like, everything at this mall costs far more than it should, and the only time you get any sort of deals is when things are on sale. So far, they've caught about 3,200 people stealing this pandemic relief funds, and they're saying that they're going to keep tracking them for as long as it takes to try to catch everybody, and we know that that's not going to happen. And realistically speaking, the more time and effort they put into trying to tracking everybody down, then the more it's going to end up costing the US taxpayer in the long run. So it's kind of a lose-lose for people who are going to be on the hook paying for this, which is all of us. Now, here's the unfortunate truth that they tell you here in this story. They say that, unfortunately, the federal criminal justice system is simply not equipped to fully address the unprecedented volume of pandemic relief fraud cases, large and small, and involving thousands upon thousands of domestic and foreign actors. So essentially, there was so much theft and so much fraud that the idea of catching everybody is a fantasy, guys. It's not going to happen. You know, they caught 3,200 people so far. It was probably millions of people responsible for this, you know? So catching 3,200 is like almost like not catching anybody at all. But at least they are making an example out of some of these people. But still, guys, 5.5 years in prison for $8 million, that sounds like a slap on the wrist to me. I would think it should be at least double that for that amount of money stolen. So let me know what you think. I mean, you even had doctors doing this, like reputable people supposedly. There was a doctor in New York that he stole $3.8 million for falsifying 11 applications for pandemic aid. He bought a Rolex, he bought Cartier, and he put a down payment on a yacht. So everybody from all walks of life was responsible for this in some manner or another. Now, how about this one, guys? Here's an update for Citizens Insurance here in Florida. Now, one thing that we've talked about in the past is how if you are on Citizens Insurance and you get an offer for another insurance company to buy you out of your policy essentially and move you over to a different policy, you have to take that offer if it's within 20% of the cost of your Citizens policy. Well, one thing that's been happening to a lot of people that have been getting these offers is they'll get an offer that looks like a good deal and it's better than what Citizens is offering, and then they'll pull the offer back. So just in October of 2023 alone, there was supposed to be about 184,000 more Citizens policies removed from Citizens and going on to other insurance companies. But with all those offers that were sent out for people to get off of Citizens, about 25,000 confirmed cases so far were rescinded, guys. So people thought they were going to get a good deal on getting off of Citizens, and then found out later on, like, no, we're changed our minds, we're not going to take on this risk any longer. So now, even when you get one of these offers to get off of it, you still can't be guaranteed that you're going to be able to, which is kind of crazy that this is happening, you know? Like, this is something that is being done mandatory. It's not like people are wanting to get off Citizens, they're being forced to get off of it, and yet they're being pushed into this situation where, you know, they're playing games with people. They're saying, oh yeah, here's a great offer for you. Oh no, we changed our minds. Like, how is that legal? Why are they allowing insurance companies to do this? If you're gonna send out an offer to somebody, it needs to be legit. And they shouldn't be allowed to rescind that offer. That's my opinion on that. The fact that this is happening is just unbelievable, guys. Like, nothing can be trusted anymore. And this all to me is just more proof that nothing is a guarantee in life. Look at this, guys. This is typically one of the most busy areas of the mall here. It is just empty. And as you can see, it is a really nice mall. You don't see a bunch of closed stores here like in a lot of other malls across the country. You know, we're just like a week and a half away from Black Friday and Thanksgiving and all of that. And this is what we're seeing here. It's kind of alarming, to be honest. Like, every time I've ever been to this mall, whether it's holidays, Black Friday, anything, it's always busy here. Doesn't matter if it's during the week, weekend, there's always a bunch of people. And now it's empty. It feels like it's about to close, and it's only like 5:30. Now here's a Miami story for you. There was something today in the Florida Realtors newsletter talking about how Miami luxury prices are soaring as more and more billionaires are moving into the area, because the most recent billionaire to move here, as you guys probably know, is Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Well, right now apparently there's a niche here in Miami for condos with a $50 million and up price tag. Can you imagine that? And it's not just condos either. Really, it's all luxury real estate. You're talking anything that's probably above $20, $30 million right now is very appealing to these billionaires moving in, because they can buy this stuff with cash, no problem, guys. No questions asked, move in the next day, and it's just a drop in the bucket for them. You know, we have a penthouse in Brickell, they're asking $60 million. Another one at Miami Beach asking $54.5 million. You have one on Fisher Island, which is listed at $90 million and is under contract for an undisclosed amount, probably 80 million, my guess, 85 million. And it's being predicted right now that condo prices in this price range could soar up to $100 million over the next couple of years if we keep getting this many billionaires moving into the area. How insane is that, guys? Like, everywhere you look around now in Miami, it's like wealth, wealth, wealth. Everywhere you see, it's just money, money, money everywhere. And it's kind of crazy. Like, some people think it's cool or it's exciting or whatever, but the reality is it's just something that most people are going to drool over, and they're never going to have it, you know? And it might be cool to see once in a while, but as somebody who lives here, and I've lived here for almost 16 years now, I can tell you it gets old, okay? because first of all, you don't know how many of these people are actually rich, first of all, because there's so many scammers here, so many liars, so many people who have built fortunes off of, the peril of others, especially if they're coming from foreign countries. There's a lot of money laundering that goes on here, and just shady characters in general. So yeah, it might look cool when somebody has that $50 million mansion and the $10 million yacht and the Maserati and the Bugatti in the driveway, but you don't know how they got it, guys. And personally, I don't think that an economy of billionaires is going to be able to sustain this area. Like, yeah, do those guys spend some serious money? Sure, they do. But when you just look at regular places like this, where most people come, and you see that it's empty a week before Thanksgiving, I mean, that's a telltale sign that things are really starting to slow down. And it seemed like it was never going to happen here in Miami, but when you're getting boots on the ground and when you come and see stuff like this, to me it's proof that it's really starting to happen. And things are definitely not as good as they're telling us they are. The new inflation report came out. Oh, great, things are down to 3.2% now, 3.2% inflation. Like, this is something to celebrate, guys. It still means that prices are up 3.2% year over year. It's just like looking at the real estate market and saying, well, prices are down 1% year over year. Yeah, technically it's down. Is it really that exciting? Is it going to be enough to get you out there to buy a house? Probably not, because it's not moving enough in the right direction. And that's the same thing that we're seeing right now with these inflation reports. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Fed goes next from here, because now that inflation is finally starting to go down, probably mostly due to the fact that rents have been finally declining and oil prices have been going down recently. That's probably the biggest attributing factor to this. But what's the Fed going to do? Are they going to keep rates where they are? Are they going to start cutting? What's it going to be? Because right now, the stock market is all gung-ho on this new inflation report and thinking how everything is going to be fantastic from here going forward and that we're going to have this soft landing. But history tells us time and time again that's just not how this goes. So I think it's a fascinating time to be just paying attention to these things. We're literally living through history right now, and it'll be interesting to watch it all unfold with you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.